All right, 11-9 happens to be the last section for Unit 11, so after this section we'll be done with the unit. And the topic here is going to be equations of circles. Now, just like you have an equation for a line, y equals mx plus b, and remember m stands for the slope, b is the y-intercept, you learned that in algebra. All right, circles also have equations, and here's the equation for the circle, general equation for a circle. It's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals to r squared. Okay. Now, the parts that we need to know about, x and y is your normal x and y variable like it typically is. But h comma k is the center of the circle. Okay. And r stands for the radius. So if you know the coordinates of the center of the circle and you know the coordinates of the radius, or excuse me, the value of the radius, then you can plug those things in and you can get the equation for the circle. So just like with a line, you need to know the slope and the y-intercept to write the equation. In a circle, you need to know the center, the coordinates of the center, and you need to know the radius to write the equation. All right, and notice when it drops in because of this minus, these values are going to change sign when they drop into the formula, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. So let's just say that I wanted to write the equation of the circle whose center is at 2, negative 3, and the radius is equal to 3. All right. Okay, so I have everything that I need to write the equation of the line. All I need is the center and the radius, and I have both of those things. So filling in the formula would look like this. It'd be looking like x, and remember, this is going to be x minus h. Here's the h value. It's the x value in the coordinate of the center, the x coordinate. So x minus h is 2, so this will be x minus 2 squared. And like I said earlier, this is just going to change sign. If it's plus 2 here, it's going to be minus 2 in the formula. If it's minus 2 here, it's going to be plus 2 in the formula. It's always switching sign because of that negative in the formula. Plus, open up, we'll go y, and then it's y minus the k. Well, remember, this is negative 3 for the k value, so minus 3 is going to change to a plus 3. You always got to remember that you change that sign when you drop it into the formula. Because the formula is y minus k, well, k is negative 3. It'd be y minus negative 3. Negative and negative would change it to plus 3. Squared, don't forget that, or it won't be a circle. Now, all this is going to be equal to the radius squared. Well, what's the radius? It's 3. 3 squared is going to make 9. And then that is the equation for a circle with a center of 2 comma negative 3 and then a radius of 3. Now we can go through and we can graph this, sketch the graph of it real quick off to the side. If we put in our x and y axis, all right, we need to put in the center, 2 negative 3 over 2 down 3. All right. Okay, so there's the center. And the radius is 3, right? So what that means is I can get 4 points. I can go straight up 3, left 3, right 3, and down 3 and put 4 points. So like if I go up 1, 2, 3, there's a point on the circle. If I go this way, 1, 2, 3, there's a point on the circle. It's easier if you've got a grid. 1, 2, 3, there's a point on the circle. And down 1, 2, 3, there's another point on the circle. So once you get those 4 points, then you can use those to draw in your circle. So that's a quick sketch of what the circle would look like. Okay? And if I could draw a good circle, it would be even better. Okay? So when you're sketching the graph of the circle, put in the center, and then use the radius to go up, down, left, and right that amount and put in another point, you've got your circle. Also, if you have a graphing calculator, you can graph these things. So if I go to let's see, if I go to Desmos here, let's see what that does for me when I graph this equation on here. So I'll go x minus 2 close squared, right? So we have a parabola now, plus open y plus 3 close squared. And so the calculator at this point doesn't know where I'm going with this until I complete the equation. Equals to, let's see, what are we going to say? That's equal to 9. And then there you go. It generates the equation of the circle. All right? And so we can see we've got our center right here at 2 and then -3, just like we typically do. And then it's given us the same points. If I go over left, right 3, up, down 3, those are the points on the circle. So there you go. So you can graph all of these in Desmos. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so the first type of problems that really we come to and going to be asked to do is to write the equation given the center and the radius. Shouldn't be too difficult of a task if you know the form. Remember, it's going to be x, and what did we say about the x coordinates? You've got to change the sign, so -2 would change to +2 squared, plus in the middle, open, y, +4 changes to -4, and if the radius is 6, I've got to square that to 36. So again, just following the formula, the equation, plug in the right parts in the right place. All there is to it is change the sign of this, change the sign of this, all right, and square this. Put it here and you got it. All right, so really not too difficult a task to write the equation if you have the center and the radius. Let's try another one. So this will be x, and then change the sign, +3 changes to -3, close squared, plus open, y, -10 changes to +10, close squared, and then 4 squared changes to 16, and you got it. So as long as you're careful to remember to change this sign, put your squareds in there, and square this, then you got it. Because if you leave the squared off of either one of these, it's not a circle anymore. So careful with that. What about this one, though? Got 0, 0, and then the radius is 25. Let's see what we can do here. Okay. Now, if these numbers are 0, then that's going to be like x minus 0, which is just x. So that's going to be like x minus 0 squared. Well, that'll just be x squared because there's nothing to add or subtract to it. 0 is nothing. Plus, since this is also 0, that would be y squared. All right. Now, if this one was another number, then you just have the parentheses and write it like you normally do. So one would have the parentheses, one would not. Okay, but if they're both 0, it's just x squared and y squared. That's all you got. And then 25, remember we need to square this, not square root it. So it's not 5. It's going to be 25 times 25, which is 625. Okay? So just as long as you're keeping the form of the equation straight, then you should be in good shape. All right? So you can also be asked to do this backwards. So let's say we're given the equation and we're asked to write the center and the radius. Well, we can just read those off from the equation. The center, change the sign, -4 changes to +4, and +1 changes to -1. So there's your center at 4, -1. And then the radius, remember if this number is 4, if you take the square root of it, you'll get your radius, which is 2. Now some people go the wrong way. They do 4 squared is 16. Okay? Remember, you have to square this to get the equation and square root the equation to get the radius. All right, so remember, make sure you go in the right direction. Square the radius to get the equation, square root the equation to get the radius. All right, so square root of 4 is 2. But that's really all there is to it. You're just going backwards. Okay, so last time they gave you the center and the radius, you had to write the equation. Now they're giving you the equation, you got to write the center and the radius. So +8 changes to -8, +3 changes to -3. And the radius, square root of 100 is 10. You got it. That's it. Okay. And there are some variations to this. They could give you the graph and say to write the equation of the circle from the graph. Well, if that's the case, you just get the center and the radius from the graph instead of from having it given to you. So what's the center here? Well, on this one, it's -2, 2. And what's the radius? Well, let's count it. It's 1, 2, 3. So there we go. All you're doing is getting the center and the radius from the graph. And from here, we can write the equation x plus 2, close, squared, plus, open, y minus 2, changes from +2 to -2. Remember, you're changing the signs of these two. Then that equals to 3 squared, which is 9, and you got it. All right, so that's all there is to that. The next one. We still need the center and the radius. The center looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2. 4, 2. The radius here is 1, 2. So now we've got x minus 4, remember, change the sign, plus, open, y, plus 2 will change to minus 2, close, squared, equals, 2 squared is 4, and then that is it. So that's all you've got to something like this, as long as you know what the equation of the circle is, and then how to use that equation to either get the center and the radius, or use the center and the radius to write the equation, or use the graph to get the center and the radius to write the equation, then should be in good shape.
All right, that's it.